Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family, and welcome to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today, I am going to bring you a soap recipe, and it's a little different than the previous soap videos I've done because I'm going to be using a special 5-pound slab mold. This year, one of the new fragrance oils that I wanted to try, and y'all know I've got plenty, was Blackberry and sugared violets. Now, I'm not always a fan of florals, and for those of you who make soap, you know that sometimes floral scents accelerate your soap and it turns into a blob of soap. So let's all say a prayer that that doesn't happen. According to the manufacturer, it does not happen with this particular scent. So part of the fun of making soap is designing how you want it to look. So if you pour your soap into a flat mold this way rather than a loaf mold, you can really make some pretty designs on the top. So I thought I would share that with you. And I am going to share this recipe. It is not my recipe. It actually came from a company that is no longer in business. So no real point in saying the name because they don't even have a website presence anymore. So as always, the disclaimer. Please observe all safety rules. Wear long sleeves, wear safety glasses, protect your hands with gloves, make sure that you're working in a well-ventilated area, and I make no guarantees or claims about this soap because it is not my recipe. What I can say is I have made this many times and it works very well and produces a nice, gentle, and this is actually a vegan soap. So, as always, when you start out making your soap, I just go ahead and gear up. So safety glasses and gloves. I've cleaned my area with 91% rubbing alcohol. So the first thing you want to do is you want to measure your water. So this is not a goat's milk soap, it's a vegan soap. And you will need 20 ounces of distilled water. And to that, we're going to add 7.32 ounces of lye. So I'm going to do that in the sink over here. And I'm also, pardon me, I forgot my soaping spoon. Yes, here it is. This is my lucky spoon. I try to use the same ones over and over. Let me just flip on my ceiling fan so that I have good ventilation. So hold tight. And I like to do this in the sink because when you add lye, as you see, it just splashed, thankfully just the water, it causes a heat reaction. I'm always afraid that it will boil over, which you could certainly clean it up, but cleaning up a lye spill can be a little bit on the scary side. So you want to make sure you get it all up, all neutralized, and none on your skin. And you don't stand over it like I just did. So, pardon me. One of the things to help you remember that you always add lye to liquid, lye over liquid, is snow on the mountain, and of course, lye. Granulated lye looks like snow. So that's how I always remember it. Okay, so I want to measure here. So we're at 180 degrees. So you can see what a chemical reaction about a 65-degree water produced. Well, I apologize. So to that, I am going to add a salt solution that I like to use that just helps your soap to harden a little better. So I'll add a little bit of that. And I do buy my salt solution just because it's at the perfect pH, etc. for making soap. Okay, so once we've got our lye set, I'm going to just sit this back on the counter. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start measuring our oils. So for ease of understanding, I'm going to read to you what I'm going to put into this pot. Then I'm going to measure it out because y'all have seen how to measure on a digital scale. It's not hard. And then I will bring you back once our oils and liquid have come to temperature, and I'll explain that in just a moment. So we need 21.5 ounces of olive oil, 10.5 ounces of coconut oil, 10.5 ounces of palm oil, 8 ounces of avocado oil, 2.65 ounces of castor oil. So it's 53.15 ounces of oils that we're putting in all together. So when you make soap, you do need to heat your oils, and I'm going to just heat it in a large stock pot. I'm going to measure directly into the pot. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can always measure into another container, add it to the pot so that you get it exact. I've done this so long, I usually don't do that. And then I'm going to put this on the stove, not let it scorch, heat it until all the oils have melted and have come together in a homogeneous mixture. Then we will cool those to within 20 degrees of what our lye mixture is. So you don't want to have a really hot lye and really cold oils, or vice versa, because that can lead to problems when you make your soap. So this video is highly about how to create beautiful soap. So not so much on the recipe, but I did want to share it with you. So I will bring you back just shortly. So while our oils, which are now melted and stirred, and our lye are coming to equal temperatures, they're both right at about 150. I do not soap above 120 for the best results. I thought I would share with you kind of how to set up if you want to do a multicolored soap. So because this is violets and blackberries, I have chosen, see if I can do this, a very vibrant purple, a much lighter lavender, and a yellow. So I've put here 3 containers that I'll be mixing my colored soap in. Need to get this out of the way. I have my stick blender set up. That's how I mix my soap. I have my fragrance oil pre-mixed according to the manufacturer's specifications on percentage. So I will sit this in the mold, but I wanted to show you my mold before we go any further so that you have an understanding of different ways that you can package your soap. So this is a 15 bar mold. It holds up to 5 pounds. It is made of plexiglass. I love the ends of this. It has just a rod and wing nut and washer configuration. This came from the manufacturer who's no longer in business. However, I will say there are lots of Etsy stores that sell soap molds that are similar in nature, or you can use wooden slab molds with a silicone liner. So here are the dividers. They actually separate, but I don't want to mess them up. I'm just going to set them aside. So there's actually a silicone mat that sits in the bottom of this. If I can get a hold of it, maybe I can't. Get something and pick it off of there. There we go. Just a little silicone mat. And what you can do is put your soap in and then use various things like a chopstick or a wooden skewer to actually swirl through the soap so that when the person gets the bar of soap, it is, instead of being the pretty just on the top of the bar, on a typical bar, the pretty is on the face of the bar, depending on what you choose to do. So I've got this all ready for when our soap is ready, and I will bring you back to show you how I mix the soap, pour the soap, and create some beautiful designs. So stay tuned. Okay, well, I thought I would actually bring you over to the sink where I have my oils melted, and I'm at actually 120 on each. So time to get soaping. So you can do this without a stick blender, but let me tell you, you're going to be standing here for a very substantial amount of time if you choose to do that. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you still have your gear on, is take your lye and water mixture, and you want to pour it down the shaft of the stick blender, simply because it produces less splashing. So I think you all can see what I'm doing here pretty well. Now, before I go any further, just for safety reasons. So I don't forget what the lye was in, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this with water and set it aside. And I apologize if it's dark in here. It is a very gloomy, rainy day. Okay, now I'm going to be quiet because when I tip this, I want you all to hear how to burp. Yes, I said burp your stick blender. So you just are going to tilt it to the side where it's trapped that air bubble and let it out. Now, ready? I hope you could hear that. So you don't want to whip a lot of air into your soap. So I will start blending this with the stick blender. You shall stir it a little bit first. And grab my fragrance oil. I kind of pulled you over, so it's a little different. So I'm just going to blend, and if you can see over here, I want to show you how the soap changes color and consistency pretty quickly. I'm having some hand trouble, guys, and this is a two-handed stick blender. So now you can see we have a very creamy looking beige color soap. You could add titanium dioxide to your soap if you wanted it a lighter color. I'm perfectly content with how it is. And because I want to do a lot of striping, I'm not going to take this to a thick trace. I'm going to leave it very thin. So trace is a description of how thick or thin your soap is. So I'm going to add in my fragrance oil. Oh, I wish y'all could smell. And I'm very pleased with how this works. I will leave a link in the description box below to the actual fragrance oil. Oops, sorry guys. I know it got dark on you. All right. So next, we are going to work at dividing our soap, and we're going to leave some soap plain and uncolored, and then we're going to put some in each of these containers I have here. And these you can buy on Amazon, you can buy them on Wholesale Supplies Plus, you can buy them, these actually came from Blackberry, so I will leave a link, and you can see we're getting a little bit of thickening here. All right, so give it a little bit of a stir. And I'm going to start by pouring a base of soap into the mold. I want to leave some for striping. And I'm just going to distribute that evenly across the mold by tilting, just to put a good base down. Now we need to add colorant to our 3 additional containers of soap. And I'm just, oh, isn't that lovely? How pretty is that going to be? And you can either stick blend this, or you can just use a spatula for your colorant. Kind of depends on how it acts. Sometimes I do use the stick blender if it doesn't look like it's coming together like I want it to. All right, so a beautiful sunny yellow like the center of a violet. And then our final color here is more of a metallic purple, so it's a little lighter in color. More like a violet rather than a purple. Okay, so now, get this spoon out of it. Now I am just going to start distributing my colors, and I am just going to go back and forth. And you can see it's starting to set up already. We'll do it with the dark purple. So we're just filling up our mold with these various colors. And lots of sunny yellow. I'm going to try to kind of go in between. where I put the purple. Let's see what we've got left. All right. So I am going to put a little bit more of the uncolored soap. Okay, so to you this might look kind of like a hot mess, but now we can make some beautiful swirls that will be in our soap. So as you use the soap, it will be pretty all the way through and not just on the top when you first get the soap, and once that's washed away, not be pretty anymore. Okay, so this is called a Taiwan swirl, in case she needs to know that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to stripe this with the remaining soap. So I'm going to put purple, the vibrant purple first, and I am going to go ahead and use all of it. So there's really no wrong way to design your soap. If your soap is super thin, you can do more delicate swirls. I've done up to, I believe, 8 colors at once, which that's a nightmare. So I usually try to theme my soap and match the colors to the fragrance so that it, you know, kind of looks like sugared violets and blackberries. Okay. And this, actually, I'm very pleased with this fragrance oil because it has stayed nice and thin. Okay, we're going to do a yellow next. I always try to get all the soap out of the containers because what you leave behind you cannot sell as soap or use as soap. So I'm trying to build up my spring and summer soaps because I will share I delivered my humongous order, and it was a humongous order, of soap for the subscription box, so it's all done. So now I'm going to pour a pretty thick layer here of the white or the uncolored soap. I'm going to do it in 2 areas. I'm going to do it at this edge and then the stripe you just saw me make. And I'm pouring through the handle. Okay, let's clean this out good so we've got plenty of striping, because you do want the consistency if you're going to stripe. Okay, that's much better. Not such a great idea to pour it through the handle. Okay. So I'm really curious to know, have any of you tried soap for the first time since I've been making some soap videos? And if so, how was your experience? What did you think of it? Have you used this soap? I will never go back to store soap unless I'm 105 and can't make soap anymore, I guess. But I'm very pleased with how my soap comes out. So I'm a little spoiled, a little bit of a soap snob. Okay, so the last bit of soap here, we're going to fill in this stripe. And then I'm going to smack the mold on the counter a little bit to try to even this out, because as you see, the soap is quickly setting up. So that's why I start soaping at a very thin trace. If you start with it thick, you will never get to this point because you will literally be picking it up with your hands and throwing it in the mold. I have been there. So I'm trying to save y'all. This just smells so good. It does smell like blackberries, and it does smell like violets, and it does smell like sugar. It really has all of the delicious smells together. Okay, so I'm gonna whack this on the counter. Ooh, and that's a little loose. Let me tighten the mold. And now I'm going to do a swirl that first goes diagonal through the whole batch. And then I'm going to do diagonal the other way. So you can see it's making a real pretty swirly design. Sometimes it's hard to quit swirling, but if you swirl too much, your colors will become muddy and won't be nearly as lovely as they will turn out if you simply leave them as they are. So that is my modified Taiwan swirl. And now I'm going to add the dividers all at once. Carefully push them down. So you can see these bars are quite large, and you can also see how different each and every one of them looks. So no two will be the same, but each has a swirl inside of all of the colors that we used. So I'm going to pause you for a moment, kind of clean up this mess a little bit, and then I will bring you back for some final thoughts. All right, well, we are back. I have my beautiful soap sitting in front of me. I'm just going to set it off to the side because my luck, I'll put my elbow in it. I'm always fearful that when I carry it in here behind the cat gate to cure it, that I'll trip and fall and soap will go everywhere, but thankfully it did not. So soap, when it's colored like this, is always prettiest when it's wet and most vibrant. So it's fun to watch how it changes. Yellow is a color that will often go orange before it turns back to yellow. So if that happens to you, don't despair. It will usually turn itself back to yellow. It's part of what happens during saponification. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that spring is coming. So here in Ohio today, it's supposed to be 60 degrees, but it is raining kitties and puppies. So not a great day to be outside or film outside. I'm very surprised back behind me here. That is my Thanksgiving cactus, which has completely rebloomed for Valentine's Day. So I always called it a Christmas cactus, and I always thought, why does it bloom so early? Well, it's actually not a Christmas cactus. It is a Thanksgiving cactus. So all of these signs of spring and are just so energizing and give you a sense of renewal. So very soon, I will be starting on some of my indoor seeds, my seedlings. And this year, I am thinking about investing in a grow light. I've never used a grow light. I use my west-facing large window to sprout the seeds, and it's always worked. But I'm wondering if I could get less spindly seedlings to start if I had a little bit better sunlight and could control it a little better. So that will be coming up. As a reminder, if you did not watch the last video, I am having my oral surgery, and I just hope it's the last one. It may not be, on Wednesday. So I'm actually filming this on Sunday. You'll be seeing it on Monday. This may be the last video that will be up for the week. I'm just not sure what I can get done. I have completed all of the mat and mitt orders and sent everyone their tracking information. So if you ordered something and you have not heard from me, oh, please, by all means, in case you fell into my spam folder, which I do check, please email me at sweethoneybath@gmail.com. On a final note, I will have a lot of time to think while I'm recovering, and I wanted to get some feedback from you all, and I would really appreciate it. You know, I want my channel to bring you value, and we're kind of at that end of winter where it's like not a great time to do things outside, and I will be very busy gardening and canning, so that will certainly be coming up. But what else would you like to see in the meantime? What can I bring you? Would you like more information about herbs or wellness or any topic that you find of interest to you? It's not that I can't create things. It's that I want to align with what your desires and your needs are as well, so that it's entertaining but educational as well, because we all like to learn and keep our minds active. For those of you who are brand new to my channel, or if you found this video by searching for soaping or soap recipes and you find value in the content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you know, the one over here, and then ring the bell to be notified of all the new videos, as well as my community posts. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. I want to thank you all for your watch hours. It's just amazing to be at 3,400 watch hours while I take this little siesta while I'm having this oral surgery recovery. And if I feel great, guys, and it's just a swollen face or a black eye like I had last time, I'll bring you videos. If I don't feel well, you won't see videos. But what I was going to say is, if you want to watch any of my playlists, thankfully from the very start, I created playlists. So if you want to look at homemade foods, if you want to go on a bread baking adventure, they're all categorized for you. So if you just click on my channel and where all the videos are, it'll say uploads, then below that, it will start listing out, you know, dehydrating, canning, bread baking, homemade foods, crafts. So please, I would love for you to watch some of my playlists just to help my hours and hopefully bring more value to you. So as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed. Think of me Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. I hope I don't have any crazy anesthesia stories to tell you. I'm going to forewarn the neighbor not to let me in the pharmacy alone. And I will hopefully still see you later this week. Take care.